What's your reporting on what happened there at the Prospectapalooza at Washington? Is it really going to come down to whether Drake May outdrove Jaden Daniels at Topgolf? Is that the way it's going to come down to it?
There are different teams that have always done these group visits. I know the Vikings under Rick Spielman for years brought in all their 30 visits at once. Yeah. 49ers have done group visits, and that's where Adam Peters, the general manager, comes from. So that's an idea he kind of took and applied there. I don't remember a time, though, that 4 of the guys there are quarterbacks.
Crazy.
And you're sitting on the number 2 overall pick. You also have to remember, these guys had time at the combine. They've obviously reviewed all the tape. Some of the players, like Michael Penix, was at the Senior Bowl. You have dinners around the pro days. You have a lot of different ways that you can be able to get time with them.
It's not like they don't know each other, Tom. It's just that you got one last swing at it, and I found it interesting that the prospects were willing to play along, that that perhaps they didn't sit down and go, or maybe they did have a confab, these prospects with their agents and the representatives. They sit there and go, well, you can maybe schedule a one-on-one straight up conventional top 30 visit as your last with a team that might not really be interested in you or might not have the firepower to come up to draft you or might not be there. Or do you go along with what the Commanders want to do and you got to be in it to win it? You got to buy that Powerball ticket by going into this mosh pit with the rest of the guys, Well,
I think this too, Rich. If this were a situation, let's say Chicago tried to do this. Hey, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix, come on in. We're going to have all you guys and Caleb there at once. You're probably going to have a bunch of guys going, well, what are we really doing here? You're taking Caleb Williams. With Washington, part of the dynamic is there really is uncertainty at minimum within the league. And I know Adam Peters said internally they're getting close. You've got a lot of voices involved in that process, from Josh Harris, the new owner. Bob Myers has been a part of this process. Magic Johnson's in the process. Obviously, Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury. You're trying to work toward finalizing what you're going to do. But I do know this. There are fans of Drake May and have been through the course of the process. Certainly, Jaden Daniels is so dynamic. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's got fans there. And there were people coming out of the Washington Pro Day, and I believe we talked about this, Rich, on the show, who were really intrigued by J.J. McCarthy. I know we haven't gotten to J.J. yet, Rich, and you watched as much of him as anybody in the world. I thought it was really interesting, having done these stories for years and talking to everybody. We can all laugh about the pro day thing and what are you really going to learn you didn't already know from somebody throwing 70 routes on air with no defense out there. But J.J. McCarthy, the response to that pro day is as strong as I can remember for anyone since maybe like Sam Bradford. It was that good. And I think that there were 2 factors in this. One of them was people had not seen JJ throw live in a lot of cases. And because Michigan had so many players, they've got, 20 plus draft eligible guys there. Head coaches were there, coordinators were there, position coaches were there. A bunch of people who probably hadn't studied a ton of JJ McCarthy on tape, they all walked away going, man, his arm is a lot better. I had one head coach say to me, like, I didn't know JJ could roll like that. I mean, he really impressed people in person, but also because he didn't throw as much, you didn't see him make all the throws. Some of the critiques of McCarthy are, well, you're running this run-dominant type of an offense. It's a lot of play action. There's guys who are wide open. It seems like at times he locks in onto that one guy, and he gets away with it a little bit because you're facing Big Ten teams, and you may not be facing the same types of DBs that you will be in the NFL. So to get him in that space and actually just see him make those throws, there were things that they saw there, deep shots too, you really hadn't seen on tape. So there were people who walked away, and certainly Washington people who walked away too, thinking at minimum, we really got to think hard about this. Everybody's been talking about Caleb, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels forever. JJ's the guy who I think realistically, if you had polled people within the league going to this season, there's no way people would have thought we were talking about him as a potential, if not certain, top 10, maybe top 5 pick in the NFL. He's done enough through the course of the process, obviously on the field, the winner, the moxie, the competitor, all that stuff's good. But the way that he interviewed, I was told he was brilliant when they got him in there. He really crushed the pre-draft process. That included the pro day. And at least if you're Washington or any team drafting up at the top, I had one head coach who I really trust, who again knows quarterbacks, and told me if I were Chicago this week, I'd be bringing in Caleb and JJ and grinding the bleep out of both of them because there's not enough evidence to say Caleb's clearly the guy. That's how much of an impression JJ made on a lot of people within the league, and that's why in all likelihood he's going to go sooner than anybody would have thought if you had him line up these quarterbacks back in September.
Yeah, I screen grabbed that very quote. I was going to bring it up, but you led yourself right to it. A head coach with a strong track record on quarterbacks. So clearly it's not a Jets head coach. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.